Hello, Shrewdness fans. Welcome to the next edition of the Shrewdness Guillotine podcast. We are all alive, just barely, after week 5. We'll go into some detail on that here coming up. Dex and Lou are with me. Chiz should join us here soon. Dex, how was your week?
It's pretty unnerving at the beginning, then it ended up being pretty easy mode. So I had to do some more scrambling this week. I've been in scramble mode the last couple weeks, but as we preach, I've been following what we preach. Don't reach, don't overspend on trash. Just get some dudes. So we used one of our Shrewdness sleepers from last week, even though it's an honorable mention from Lou. I went ahead and scooped him anyway. Jordan Whittington, so he came through with a nice performance. He had 6 or 7 catches, I think 70 or 80 yards, somewhere in there. He worked out just fine, so that was nice. And unfortunately, our special guest, first guest ever on Shrewdness last week, he's out. Oh, my God, he lost his head. After all his sage wisdom and knowledge and power, he did not expect just the travesty of injuries that plagued his team. And he also didn't know that his $0 pickup of Kirk Cousins, which he was very excited about, if you recall last week's pod, didn't play him in his 500-yard franchise-setting record performance. And instead, he did what we all would have done and start Patrick Mahomes and not start Kirk Cousins on a short week when he hadn't shown anything all season. Kind of cost him his head there, though. And then the other thing that screwed him, and any Ramondre Stevenson owners out there, probably in the same boat. When you get told your dude's going to get benched, well, in case he does what you do, you bench your guy because you're not going to take a 0. Just kidding. He didn't take the first 2 snaps, played the rest of the game, had a pretty good game. Had he started those 2, would have kept his head, but he just had a little too much to overcome last week. Just not enough. But yeah, as far as myself, though, I came through. Jordan Love, James Cook, both had the games I needed. I didn't start Kyle Pitts because he's still on my team. He is hanging by a thread, and then he showed life on Thursday. So that's the worst, is when these guys you're getting ready to drop show some life, and they're like, ugh, do I keep him? So I'll start him this week and get a 0 probably. But
it's a very love-hate relationship with Kyle Pitts.
It is, but Padog, tell us about your experience this past week.
So if you've been following the show, you've been hearing me brag every week about how awesome my team is. And this week they just did not play. I needed 11 points from Alvin Kamara on Monday Night Football, which I thought was probably achievable.
Yeah, how the season's gone, you're like, I'll get that in the first quarter.
Yeah, well, so I knew he was matched up with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have been very good against the run this year and so forth. But I was like, okay, he's averaging 16, 17 points. I should be able to get 11 out of Alvin Kamara. And at halftime, he had 4.5. And I was sweating it. And I needed every last catch, the final catch he got for about 8 yards with under 2 minutes to play.
I was going to say, it was under 2 minutes to go, and he got that junk ball by the backup.
Put me a 1.5 points ahead of the last place guy. So I got my 85
fumbles.
points. And, I was like, okay, the Saints can turn it over. Just anybody except Kamara can turn it over, and then the Chiefs can kneel on it, and I'll be just fine.
Exactly.
So Lou, I had 1 touchdown.
It
was the CJ Stroud, 1 touchdown throw to Nico Collins. That was my touchdown for my entire team.
Oh, wow.
1 passing and 1 receiving, and then Nico left the game. And I was like, awesome play, but terrible luck. And nobody else from my team scored a touchdown. So I was hurting big time this week, but I squeaked by, and now I am projected to be the number 1 team this week.
That's how it goes. And the other guy that I picked up last week, I forgot about this dude. And it's one that Lou, he kind of was whispering behind the scenes about Earl Grey. And I'm like, I'm going with Tyrone Tracy. He's a starter. And man, if that game didn't just look like I was completely wrong at the beginning, and Lou probably would have been right, but for that dude fumbling. Then they gave all the rest of the carries to Tyrone Tracy, and he came through with 130 yards, which was awesome. So Tyrone Tracy also saved my biscuits.
the whole first drive, it was all Gray, and he had like 8 points in the first drive, and then that fumble, which I don't think was actually a fumble, but they just decided they were going to continue to let it be a fumble.
Once I saw that, I was fine.
Yeah, then Tyrone Tracy got like basically they kept putting Gray out there, but they wouldn't give him the ball after that. It was a statement being made.
What's fun is Tracy looked like he's got a little more juice. Like for Devin Singletary owners out there, you don't want to see a dude average 7.5 yards a carry when you're not on the field. Like you sometimes don't get your guy back. So if you're a Singletary owner, I would be at least a little bit nervous. I'd have a little pucker factor going on back there because what just happened to my guy?
So I am a Singletary owner. I've also got Madison, who's got the opposite problem. He's the one that kind of came in for. I mean, Zamir White's I think hurt right now, but he's done better than White even when he was been healthy this year.
That's a Madison thing, though, right?
It is. He's a great backup.
The second though he gets the job, he's gonna suck. When he's trying to get the job, that dude tears it up.
Yeah,
he can earn the job pretty well. No, you're exactly correct. That is exactly correct.
Yeah. Lou, tell us about your week.
I know. Let's hear about it.
What, some of us, and obviously, spoiler alert, I'm in the same league as Casey, so I'm safe. We all know I'm safe. Okay, but I had to weather another bad Josh Allen week on the way to having the highest score of any team. I'm like, oh, got the number 1 spot this week. Crushed it. It was delightful. Super happy. It took Rashid Shaheed having the stronger day over Olave to finish the night.
Yeah, getting that deep bomb that puts you to the high score.
That did. I got the high score. We have a prize for high score, so I got the prize too, which was awesome. I had some great moves. I got Tucker Kraft for about 20 fab, who is starting to look like tight end 1 at this point in the NFL.
He is. Looks like he's passing Luke Musgrave. So. Yeah, well, that was the good thing. So my one pickup I got I guess I got a couple pickups, but the one that I actually bid on and spent money on was Brock Bowers, and he came out of the gate firing with a 57-yard touchdown on the first drive. I'm like, oh, man, did I need that. Let's go, baby. And then he went on his way to 8 for 97 with the tutty, and that's what I needed. After that, I was clear. Chisholm in a safe house. How you doing, buddy? You okay? Shh, we won't say anything.
Blink twice if you're under duress.
Tell us about your week. You and I finished pretty much the exact same.
Yeah, me and you, Dex, were pretty similar. This was the week that I was most scared about because I had 2 bye guys and they were serious bye problems, which is why Lewis voted for me to be the one to be eliminated for the second week in a row. Might I add, the second
what
week
a
in a
D.
row. And the first week he voted for me, I got the high score in the league, which I
should have got reverse chop, baby. We got to bring the reverse chop back.
I agree. Like that's insanity. But I had Jahmyr Gibbs out this week, which was a problem. I had Tony Pollard out this week, and then I went and tried to get running backs, and I did not get any running backs. So. I was nervous. This was the first week I was really nervous going in. Luckily,
who was out there, Chisholm?
I know.
You know who was out there?
I know.
Tank Bigsby.
I know. Tank Bigsby.
I got Tank Bigsby for about.
I tried getting Tank Bigsby. He outbid me.
Yeah.
I bid like 40 on Tank Bigsby, and now it's like, I mean, I don't know. Etienne's still going to play, but now they can't not play Tank Bigsby after that week.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he looks. Oh, amazing.
He's definitely out. He's out. There's without a doubt he's outplayed Etienne for the season. So, he's going to
be on the right side of that timeshare.
Yeah, he's going to get at least half of the carries. I did try to get a running back who was who I bid on, but he was going to be the starter for this week. He was a spot starter. I got outbid.
Oh, Trey Sermon, or is it Sermon? Was that Indianapolis guy?
Sermon went in the bloodbath.
Yeah, it was. That's what I went for. I think was Sermon, and
no, Sermon wasn't a bid.
I know he couldn't get there in time.
You're right.
Maybe you couldn't log in time on Mexican internet.
I definitely It is not the most reliable internet that I'm on here. But, Shrewdness listeners, I paid for the premium internet tonight, so hopefully you'll be getting
That's why you have such a pretty blurry face.
you'll be getting
That's why
right.
You're almost a black screen of death.
That's why it only took you 2 times to connect.
That's exactly right. If I had just done
got
the
the-
free internet, forget it. I would have never had a chance to
Yeah.
be in. But I was lucky that I had, and sometimes this happens, a guy on our league who, if you watch the Shrewdness on a regular basis or listen, he was our guest last week and should in no way, shape, or form have been the one to get chopped this week. But he had just the hell week where everyone on your team just decides not to play that week. And
Yeah.
he really had it happen. And it was like, it's the fear we all have. And it does happen. And I got lucky. I was a beneficiary of that. He just scored like an ungodly amount low of points, and I cleared. So I have no bragging to do this week. It was a get by the skin of your teeth type week, and I'm happy I still got my head. Now I'm full strength, headed into week 6.
As Lewis said a couple weeks ago, even if you don't win the league, you get the same credit as everybody else that squeaked by. So
That's
exactly right.
your goal is to stay alive every week.
That's
it.
exactly
We've had
right.
some close calls, but
No,
We're
I
still
should have
here.
been gone. I should have been gone. I took a crazy somebody not singing injury. It's the only reason I'm still around.
it is. And you kept
Yeah.
it mum. You played pure strategy. You played, no, I'm not helping this mofo. And then that was
Right.
the
I'm
difference.
usually-
Out
I'm
he
usually
went.
an unbiased commissioner who tries to give out information and be as unbiased as possible, but I knew I was in trouble. I had
Yeah,
a weird 6 cents on that one.
for sure.
And
I mean,
you were correct.
you sometimes
we've,
you gotta looks out for numbers ones.
That's right. So we've had this is our first kind of post bye week Shrewdness podcast. So talk to me about the buys last week. Talk to me about this week's buys, Lou. I think you have the list.
So
And
I just want to
let's
have
talk
a quick
about
rundown.
strategy.
Quick rundown. So the following players, just as a reminder, keep your brain open and like start doing the mental math. You've got Hertz, Barkley, Brown, Smith, right? Goff, Montgomery, Amon-Ra, Williams, Laporta. You've got probably Pollard, maybe Spears, and then
That's it.
Herbert if you're feeling it. Dobbins has been very good.
Yeah.
Possibly McConkey.
I've got
I don't know.
McConkey,
Quentin Johnston's actually been fine, but all the players I just named, and the reason I wanted to go through them is think about these guys as they should have a star next to them because these are all the people who don't have to sit for a bye going forward. If they're on your team, value them. If somebody's trying to trade you for them, they're going to try to get you like a normal trade. Don't take a normal trade. They've got to throw in extra, right? And the same thing, if you're trying to trade, if someone will do you a good trade straight up and you get the post-buy credit and you don't have to sit them for a buy, you get extra value if you can kind of steal somebody that way. But if you want to trade for one of these people, if people know what they're doing, these are premium players.
Yeah, and going into this week, as we look into the buy this week, there's going to be some people you can target for trades because someone that has Kelsey at tight end, for example, now they're on the bottom tier looking for a tight end fill-in, or if you have Justin Jefferson, I mean, these are players that are hard to replace. They may look for someone to give them a running back or a wideout or a tight end. So you can look at those players as someone to target. Potentially it could be in scramble mode like Chisholm was last week, like I've been every week. Just injuries and buys, whatnot. And you just slim pickings. I'm trying to hang on my main guys to keep rolling forward. But those are ones that are going to look good post-bye week for sure. Just kind of things to keep in mind. And then Aaron Jones did what we had the Shrewdness. It's not if, it's when. When is the Aaron Jones injury happening? And it looks like, again, another soft tissue. Is it a hamstring? Is it a quad? Is it a calf? Who knows?
Yeah,
It's definitely going to linger for 3 freaking months, though, and he's going to be questionable the rest of the time. It'll be a game-time decision that you sit him, and he will score 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. It'll be a game-time decision where you have no one else. You're like, he'll probably play. No, he'll be
Or
probable,
he'll play for
and
a
he will not play.
And then he'll sit. So you have like that moment of hope. Oh, I had this experience last year. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Also, excellent point, John, when it comes to this stuff. You're going to be in a league and there's going to be a week and you're going to there's going to be somebody in the league who is in trouble. All right. And everybody's going to know it. And we often have a term for somebody who's persistently that guy. We call them the cockroach, because if they continue to live, they start getting this cockroach trophy. But there will be somebody often who is pretty clearly isolated as this person needs a lot of help. And what they probably still have, more than likely at this point, if they're playing the game right, is fab, right? That free agent dollar stuff. And this is something that you can do if you ever find yourself in a position of strength, is you can offer that person somebody who you don't really need this week, and you can gain fab on somebody you probably don't need, and then you can parlay that fab into somebody down the road. And it's a strategy that I've seen has been helpful if you can get it to work. Try to pick on the weak gazelle, try to get their fab, because, and just always point out, hey, that fab ain't going with you, right? Yeah. This might get you over the hump. And this way, you'll still have some fab, but if I take a third of your fab, but you get to keep playing, you might be able to, I might go out, who knows?
Yep, you just got to be careful with it, though, because I was offered Chisholm, I think, is trying to speak, but we can't hear him through his Mexican internet, his Mexican ear mufflers. So, but a trade was offered for I think it was 500 fab or something for James Cook in week 2. One of our players in the league was in a serious bad spot. I didn't want to take that, though, because I'm like, I only have 3 running backs. I need to make sure I have 2. And then, no shit, that next week, there goes Pacheco. I'm like, that's why. You got to make sure you got somebody. Otherwise, I would have had 0. Barkley on bye, Pacheco out. If I would have gotten rid of James Cook, yeah, I've got fab to buy early season garbage. No thanks, man. I need real people.
The end of that story, if you're curious, Shrewdness listeners, is the guy would have been safe had he had gotten Allen, and he lost on the Eckler
concussion.
Yeah, by
true story.
Like 2 points. Yeah.
Yeah, so. It was nuts. So going into let's rehash. Go into our Shrewdness sleeper segment here. We're going to rehash last week. We had 5 Shrewdness sleepers for you to pick up. We had high hopes for all of them. 2 came through all right. 1 came through great. So we'll let Chisholm revel in that one. But I chose Dontavian Wicks last week. I thought he would be pretty good, especially with Christian Watson out, which he was. And boy, Dontavian Wicks, that boy don't have hands. He can't catch anything. It bounced off his hands multiple times, but he finished with 2 catches for 20 yards, 4 measly points. Our goal, I believe we said, was 9 is what we were trying to get. That was our target.
8.5 to 9. That's what you need.
And we were also shooting for under 40% owned, so we'll recap our scoring system. So you can't just put up the great one. So Dontavian Wicks, 4 points. We had Pruitt take Tyler Huntley for the old, measly, wussy, terrible Dolphins team. Even though they came back to win, he's a winner.
Yep.
But he only delivered 6.46 for it. He did not fall in the end zone as we hoped.
He did not run.
He did not run. He didn't really do anything.
Yards. Just 7 yards.
Yeah.
For a mobile quarterback, he did not run.
And then we'll give Lewis an honorable mention because he went with Noah Gray, but he also said Jordan Whittington. And I think Whittington did finish with 16 thereabouts. And Noah Gray, he actually didn't do too bad. He had 4.9. But again, we have a hard schedule, a hard standard we hold ourselves to, and he did not meet standard. Casey, surprisingly, knocked this one out on his final Hail Mary. Adonai Mitchell was his Shrewdness sleeper last week for a guest spot. Again, 9.16. Hey. So he hit the mark, hit the target. And then Chisholm picked Juju Smith-Schuster. And he had it all, man. But for the fumble on the half-yard line, he even called the tutty for him. But Juju finished with 7 catches, 130 yards, and a near touchdown that got returned by the big, fat New Orleans guy for like 40 yards.
Okay.
But
Alan Saunders.
He had it, though. It is. So we nailed one out of the park for you, Shrewdness. If you had to go dial them up. And the rest weren't terrible, just weren't what we were looking for. But we got 2 out of 5 for last week for hitting our standards. So moving into this week, let's go ahead and start with Pruitt, did you dig one up yet, or do you want Lewis to start?
Yeah, I've got one.
Okay.
My shrewdness sleeper for this week is Brenton Strange.
Strange.
He's tight end for Jacksonville. They've got
They're heading to London.
That's
They're going to
right.
London this week, and
They're going home.
Yeah, they are going home. No doubt. They're going home to play the Bears. So the Bears think they're at home, but they will not be at home because it's the London Jaguars.
Pruitt, I don't know if you want a mulligan. There is a strong chance that Ingram plays.
True story. He's expected to come back. But as we know, Evan Ingram is not always reliable.
Yeah.
And it's a hamstring.
I think it's a good pick unless Ingram comes back. Ingram comes
so
back,
you need to watch the injury news, I suppose. If Ingram plays, then Strange will take a huge hit. But he has been a reliable target here recently.
Oh, yeah,
I do like the Adonai Mitchell pickup that Casey mentioned last week. If you didn't pick him up, he's got another decent matchup this week, I believe.
Yeah, he's against the Titans this week.
He's only 18%.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's still only 18% owned, and he had a decent week. He got 9 points.
So I probably should give credit to the Ringer Fantasy Football podcast for this, but they talked about a statistic called ASS. It's average separation something or other, and it's they take like how much yards of separation that you tend to have, and Adonai Mitchell, AD Mitchell, however you want to say it, like leads the league in like getting the biggest gap between him and the defender on average, right?
No way.
Huh.
Yeah. So
this hasn't translated into catches.
Yes. It's somebody who, in general, if you have a competent quarterback throwing the ball, should continue to increase. The problem is that
it won't
has just been a crazy wide receiver room because there are 4 legitimately good wide receivers.
Downs and Pittman and who else?
Alec Pierce.
Yeah,
Pierce. Yeah.
Pierce is this weird long ball guy. He had like 3 catches for like 150 yards. 3 for 150 or something insane.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, mine's kind of cheating this week. We mentioned that.
Hey, that was the Whittington honorable mention last week. He still qualified last week, and if you didn't get him last week, you should have had him this week. Now he's left with an injury, so I think you probably could safely drop him with the also understanding he's going on bye, and you're probably going to get Cooper Kupp back in 2 weeks. So
we have talked about too the fact that the Chiefs are on bye this week. Juju might still be out there. If anybody hasn't picked up Juju Smith-Schuster yet, because he's on bye this week, he may go unnoticed by a lot of teams looking for some immediate help. But
I don't usually pick up bye week players. I got enough rotting corpses on my bench.
That's the problem,
right? But
because you usually have your own bye weeks.
If you're like me, if you can work around your bye weeks and whatever, or if you've got an injury that's going to like a Rashee Rice or something like that you finally know you can drop, it might be a time to pick up another, potential replacement for him if you can find a spot on your bench.
And yes, you can safely drop Rashee Rice at this point.
Okay. Yep, he's out for the year, so he will not be back in the regular season. Chisholm, welcome back. Witness protection's treating you well. So,
all right, let's try it again. How's that?
I know. Can you speak though?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, victory.
That's
all about them iPhones. All right, what do we got for your shrewdness sleeper? Do you have one ready to roll?
Have you guys already made yours?
Just Pruitt.
Just Pruitt. So we're giving you some options, but if you want us to go, Lou and I are ready.
All right, I'm ready.
Right.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but my shrewdness sleeper for this week, it's White Lamar.
Daniel Jones.
Wow.
I love it. I almost wanted to take him in my picks this week.
Daniel Jones, who's only rostered in
back.
What's the percentage he's rostered in? I had it up and it's down again, but it's very low.
He's not available.
36%.
36%. So
meets the criteria.
He is in the criteria. I can't believe I had this guy 3 weeks ago. I had him written off for dead.
No, he's available.
I had him written off for dead 3 weeks ago. I think he's on. I don't know why, and I don't know how, but he's on a bit of a hot streak, and I feel like he's going to continue that hot streak.
Those
and
are
the
Malik
reason,
neighbors this week.
what?
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That was without Malik, he still had a tremendous game somehow.
Well, I think
awesome. We all watched that game intently because we may have had that in our picks pool kind of a thing, and we were just like in shock. That dude beat up the Seahawks, and it wasn't even close. It wasn't. Like
it was ridiculous.
He looked like a top 10 quarterback. Full stop.
He did.
And I feel like it's because of the Tracy effect.
He was good.
Tyrone, the bone, baby.
And he is like, I think he's what they've been needing. And, we've seen this in a lot of teams for a long time, right? If you don't have at least the threat of a run, it doesn't really matter how good your quarterback is, unless you have Patrick Mahomes. Go bless you.
Go bless you.
Because everyone else has to have at least the threat of a run. And Daniel Jones definitely has to have the threat of a run. He's not that good. But when you have a guy who is running the ball like Tracy effectively did, now you actually have a guy who could be throwing the ball, or he could scramble and run. And he put up some good points, and I think he's going to ride the wave for a little bit here. I'm not saying it's a resurgence for him, but I do think it's a blip on the radar, and I want to ride it.
Yep. It opens up the play action passes and kind of gives you those quick short passes open. The deep routes suddenly have somebody. They can't just keep everybody back. I mean, it is. I think that's a great pick. Great pick.
And week 11 bye. So if you do catch him, he is on a hot streak.
That's right.
You got like 5 weeks of value with him too. If he makes it to the bloodbath, I might look at him. I don't think I'm going to bid, but I might start wanting to look at some alternate options for Josh Allen. Jeez.
The other thing I like about him is he's playing at home, and he's playing against the Bengals, and the Bengals defense has just been horrible.
Getting torched.
Not good.
Torched.
Yeah.
We mock Washington, and since he's giving up 40 points a game.
I mean, they're awful. I don't even recognize them.
That frustrated me to no end. They had that game, and I don't like them, and I hated rooting for them, but I definitely wanted to have mediocrity rule the day. And
I did too. Sure. I think we were all the same way.
For sure.
Lou, if we want to roll into yours, who do you got for this week? Shrewdness sleeper.
So, sometimes when you're looking for people who are low rosters, you gotta do a little dumpster diving, folks. I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes things smell a little bit. All right. And I got to make a recommendation, and Dexter and I actually have already talked about this, so we're both going into the same,
smelly turds.
Dumpster. Here's what's going down, all right? There is a changing of the guard in New England, all right? We got a new quarterback, all right?
Savior, Drake May.
Who theoretically cannot play worse than Jacoby Brissett. He might, but he should theoretically be able to do a little bit more than Jacoby Brissett has been one of the worst starters I've seen in a long time. That was atrocious football. When they would kick over to the eye in the red zone, I was miserable every time.
He's awful.
Yeah, you know what they say the best attribute about Jacoby Brissett? He's like having another coach on the field.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a great guy.
He is. Another 48-year-old coach who's broken with some bad legs and a knee brace. Yeah. That's what he is. He is another coach on the field.
He looks just like Andy Reid on the field.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Jalen Polk. All right. And the reason I picked Jalen Polk over, and Jalen Polk is 19.7, I believe is his percent.
Yep.
So Jalen Polk last week, and you'll see if you do a lot of fantasy stuff, fantasy points, your best way to get them is opportunity, right? So the more you're out there, the more the things could randomly work in your favor. And Jalen Polk, they had 60 offensive plays against the Dolphins. He was out there on 60 plays, 100%. Even the best, most reliable players don't get 100% snap share. That's just, he almost had the touchdown. His heel barely touched. He had an amazing week. I think people are going to target him because of that, but I would look more at the 60 freaking out of 60 plays, which is amazing.
Yeah, opportunity plus talent, right?
Yep, opportunity plus talent. So Jalen Polk is my pick, 19.7, likely not rostered in your league. I would definitely try to roster him and see what happens with Drake May.
All right, so I'm going similarly. I'm staying with New England, changing the guard. I'm doing Demario Douglas, who is arguably their number one, the one that moves the chains. So last week he caught 6 of 9 for 59 yards, and that was with Jacoby Brissett. And again, maybe Jacoby's just really good at dumping the ball. But at the end of the day, I think he's going to be the safety blanket. He's going to be the binky for Drake May, and it's going to be between the tight end, and it's probably going to be Jalen Polk will be the big plays. I see that. He'll be the one kind of stretching the field. That's not Demario Douglas's job, though. Demario Douglas goes across, does the short slants, quick outs. He's going to get you a chunk of yards for less than 10 yards a pop. That's just what he does. But there's nothing wrong with that.
PPR.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Great
PPR. 6 for 60 is 12 points. And if he falls in the end zone on one of those, you got an 18-point game. So
12 points, I think, is great
good.
Up through week 12, something like that.
Yeah,
Like
until you just have like all
great for a long time.
superstars on your 8-team league where then you can. He's going to be pretty good. So, again, we're still in our when we talk about phases here in Shrewdness. You got your September players, your October players, and really hardly any of those guys you're picking up should be on your team if you can survive to November, December, because then you should be able to have your pick of the litter with all your fab you've saved up, or the guys you have gotten are post-buy, and you don't have to worry about picking anybody else up because they're not going out again, barring injury. And you can never predict injuries, so is what it is. So, recap, Shrewdness sleepers this week. We've got Strange or Mitchell. So, look at Strange, and if Ingram's out, pick him up. Mitchell, Adonai Mitchell, I think that was your backup, right, Prue?
Yep.
Okay, Adonai Mitchell
he's
with
good for
Joe
another week.
Flacco, the Sacco, hucking the ball to him, because as long as they don't bring Richardson back, they have a competent quarterback in Indianapolis, and all the wideouts go up. Lewis is taking Jalen Polk, kind of the deep threat for New England, and he definitely is talented. And then I'm doing a Demario Douglas, kind of the moving the change guy for PPR aspect, giving I think a higher floor in reality for New England receivers, but hopefully we can get us. I think, are we upping it to 10 points? Is that our goal this week? Or are we still at 9?
It's still 9.
9 points.
Still about
Okay.
9.
It's about
So we'll
9 points.
we'll keep our
Nine's
stats
supposed to
accurate
keep
for you guys, and we'll keep letting you know how we do. I want to touch on one more thing. So pass the sleepers. I think it just always helps if you're picking up players and they're also in these groups. I think it helps. So Arizona, Green Bay has a 49.5 over under. Washington, Baltimore, 52.5. Detroit, Dallas, 52.5. Cincy, New York Giants, 48.5. So those are the highest 4 games by Vegas odds for the highest points. So if you're targeting a free agent, or if one of the high budget guys, like in our league, Amon-Ra St. Brown's available. He'll be post buy and going into the highest Vegas over under game of the season, of the week. So those are things to kind of keep in mind when you're bidding on players. It just matters. There's be more opportunities, more points, bad defenses.
What do you guys think? That I mean, I didn't even want to bid at all, but I already tipped my hand. I've already put in a pretty staunch bid, but not a winning bid. I know it's not a winning bid. It is everybody loses their mind. Like, okay, cool.
Keep everybody else honest.
I'm projecting 500.
That's what I had in my head.
He will. I'm not bidding.
I'm nowhere near that, but that's what I'm projecting. Somebody is going to go that.
I think that's what he went for last time. He went for. I think he did. He was like 400, 500, but
440. I think it was.
No one's worth that much right now, and that's just a fact.
Yep,
that's right.
And if you're spending that much, you might make bad enough plays that we get another bite at that apple too. So
that's what I think too.
So I bid in my league. I bid 252 for Saquon last week, and the second place bid was 250.
Woo!
Oh,
nice.
That's
amazing. He went so low.
I barely survived this last week, but from here on out, well, till week 11, I think I'll be starting Kamara and Saquon as my 2 running backs.
Right.
Yeah, you'd be in the catbird seat. That'll be pretty good.
You also get Saquon, barring injury. Now that's my 250. For a post-buy player that you are able to tolerate like that is great.
Yeah.
Then on the flip side, I want to touch this too. So the 2 lowest projected games, and it's not really surprising. is the Chargers at Denver, 35.5 points of pure boredom. That should be just 3 hours. If you need to take a nap, tune in for that game. And then we have Pittsburgh, Vegas is 36.5. So again, I think there's going to be, if it's Aiden O'Connell, you think it's going to be Aiden O'Connell for Vegas? I mean,
It's going to be
either
Aiden
him or
O'Connell.
Minshew.
He won't
Yeah.
say, which is
No.
even worse. You should
Exactly.
You should just say, but he won't say. I don't know. I've got to make some.
The question is, does it matter?
Yeah, that's dead honest
You
right
shouldn't
there.
put yourself in that position, okay, to begin with. And that, how is he still? We all were like, how did this guy get the job? You talk about checkers and chess. Andy Reid losing that game, forcing that owner to hire that guy,
Right.
and then now setting them back another 2 years of incompetence. I mean, that is checkers.
It's genius. That's
and
long
chess.
game.
That's long
That is
game
long
right
game,
there, baby.
Andy Reid.
We'll still win the Super Bowl. And we'll tank one game to make everybody think this coach is great, so then I can face him for at least another year before they fire him.
Yeah,
I
that
might
is
need the game
genius.
next year because I don't need it this year.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
So if you're stuck choosing between O'Connell and Minshew, do yourself a favor and pick up Daniel Jones, like Chisholm suggested.
Yeah,
Please do.
Just
Please.
stay
Yeah,
away.
I'm just saying, folks, that either if y'all don't bid on him, there might be a bloodbath option for old Lou on him, man.
Yeah.
By bloodbath, if you hear me say it, is what I call when you finally go to waivers and you go to
The bone
clear all the
pile.
waivers and you go to the bone pile and it's a mad dash. And I think I've mentioned it before. Make sure if you're trying to do it, you drop your player completely first. Because if you're trying to drop a player and add a player concurrently, somebody else is getting the high value target. Last week it was Trey Sermon,
Yeah.
and if anybody knows what they're doing, they had already dropped their player, so all they had to do was click add and like push it through real quick, so you can try to be the first person.
Yeah.
I actually love I call it the bloodbath because I just imagine a bunch of hot and sweaty 45-year-old men just like trying to like click through and grab
Refresh,
the one
refresh,
value
refresh,
player.
refresh. It's it's basically
refresh.
the best metaphor I think is the cornucopia in Hunger Games, where all the weapons are in the middle, and you're just sprinting to try and get your bow, your axe, fill in the blank, man.
You
People
may,
are
you may take a
dropping-
hatchet to the back on the way
Yeah.
there.
It's hilarious. People are dropping somebody, and you're like, "Oh, I take that guy. He's an upgrade over one of my bench guys." It's just like
It's
all this
just
craziness.
nonstop.
I love it. I love the bloodbath. I didn't participate this last time because
All right, we need to move on to Shrewdness Spuds.
Spuds.
Who was your Spud of the week?
Oh,
I have a no doubter on my team.
All I have to do is look up Casey's team.
Oh, ouch. Too soon. Too soon. Man, hopefully we get more guests. If we get another guest and they go out the next week,
That might be
that
it.
won't be good.
It's going to be like the Madden cover.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to be on the Madden
Yeah,
cover.
no. That wouldn't be good at all. All right, so go ahead, Bruce. Start us up
So
with
my
your spud.
my Shrewdness Spud from week 5 is Debo Samuel.
Oh,
He was the number one. He was the number one guillotine axe player across
Team
all
that
guillotine
got
leagues.
chopped. He had one catch for 11 yards,
Woo.
and he only 2 targets, I think, maybe 3. And he ran the ball 3 times for 9 yards. So he had 3 points.
Ouch.
3
That's,
points.
3
out of
points from
Debo
my number 2
Samuel.
pick.
then Brandon Ayuk came out of the woodwork and just, God, he just like, I'm here. I think he had like
Finally.
150 yards.
Kittle had 20 points or something. I mean, it was insane. Just they didn't look his way for whatever reason last week.
Yeah, at all.
So that and Marvin Harrison's worst game since week 1, Nico
Yeah.
getting hurt, and Kamara facing the Chiefs were what had me sweating. Just lots of bad things happening all at once.
Okay, this is kind of broken. I'm just looking through, and there just weren't many duds.
There's a couple out there.
No, I have
Not
one.
many though. Like it's kind of amazing how many great
Well, it was
weeks people had.
It was an extraordinarily high scoring fantasy
It was.
week
God,
for sure.
everywhere.
Unbelievable! It's kind of blowing me away, actually.
But I had one. I I had been cautiously riding the back of Justice Hill for the past few weeks, who catches a lot. If you're in a PPR, man, dude catches a lot of balls out of the backfield. He gets used as a change of pace to Derrick Henry, and he had been putting up good numbers. And he had one catch for 8 yards and 17 rushing yards, which was a total of 3.5 points. And they put up 41 points against the Bengals. So it was super disappointing. I saw the high productivity coming out of the Bengals or against the Bengals, and I was like, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to start him. And it was not good. So Justice Hill is kind of going to be one of those players, I think, that's feast or famine depending on the matchup and depending on how he gets worked into the game plan.
Yeah, I thought he'd get more too, especially when you start – he's just a passing down guy.
Yeah.
And they did all sorts of it, just not to him.
Never to him.
It's crazy.
Well, I think some of that was just the nature of what happened in that game. He just kind of got taken out. The game got really wonky and weird, and it just required all the kind of stuff to move away from him.
Totally.
So, yeah. So my spud, I and again, I know it's sad. I just got to go to Casey's team because, frankly, everybody else was well over the historic cut line, 15 points over the historic cut line. So I think most of the bad players were on one team. And that was Casey with DK Metcalf, one of my favorite all-time fantasy players, because this is what he does. When you need him, he doesn't show.
Yeah, just
4 catches, 55 yards, and the beautiful fumble. So he went from having enough points to justify a slot to the fumble, knocking him back to 7.5 points. Didn't even carry his weight. Somebody had to help DK help your team get over the line.
So brutal. He was so brutal.
All right, so my spud is someone that was trending up. I think we would all agree he was trending up. Dante Johnson for Carolina. And you felt pretty good that guy's going to get 5 for 50, whatever the case may be. He dropped a 3 for 23 spud potato performance, and that thing grew eyes. And fortunately for that player, he did not go out. But you did not get what you expected either. I think he delivered, 5 points? That's not what you're looking for a number one on an NFL team, especially a PPR guy. I mean, that's the whole thing about those guys. They're usually high floors. So Dante Johnson, my spud of the week.
Yeah, 5.9 points. Not awesome.
Not awesome at all. All right,
Especially
so I think that
when
wraps
you also
up.
had Xavier Legette only had 1 catch.
Yeah, he did too.
And then he was out. And so, who were they throwing the ball to? They did get
nobody.
waxed, but yeah.
That might have been the problem, is that they just triple teamed Dante Johnson because there's no Legette, no Thielen. I think Trimble fumbled.
Yep.
And then they don't have any. I mean, Chuba Hubbard did just fine, actually. I think he did all right. But they just had no one else was catching the ball. Or they either weren't getting open.
Might have a legit D, too. That might be a real defense.
Yeah, all right, we'll go with that. I hope. I hate Chicago.
Happens. I can tell my daughter. Happens.
Yeah, happens. All right, excellent. Yep. Let's wrap this one up, Padog.
All right. Well, you've heard it here first. Week 5 recap. Week 6 coming up. A few more teams on bye this week. Help me out. Chiefs.
We got Chiefs, Minnesota, Miami, Vikings, and the Rams.
The Rams.
Yep.
So keep your heads on this week. Find some good Shrewdness sleepers out there. Make some good trades, and we'll see you next week.
Stay alive one more week. We will talk again about our picks after week 6. So long from the Shrewdness. Take care, y'all.